Hello and welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests, to the meeting of online presenters, a virtual Toastmasters Club. I'm Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny, your Sergeant at Arms. Guests, please note, to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial, relevant experience and presentation skills, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club members. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename. Remember, mute your microphone when you're not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we record the meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Mary Ann Grady. Welcome, Mary Ann.
Well, good evening, everyone. And we're just a little more than 2 weeks away from Christmas, and a lot of other holidays are coming up in the middle here. So I hope you're all feeling fine and festive and ready to do it all and then ring in the new year after that. So if you're here, our club mission is to serve those who give out online presentations professionally or aspire to do so, whether that means public webcasts, live video, or internal company video conference and screen sharing sessions. So we can help with all of that, and we hope you use these valuable resources, our members, if you need some supplemental information. So we had decided, and I've let everyone know in the last couple meetings, that we will be canceling our meeting for December 23rd. Well, the board this evening has made a decision, since no one signed up, that we are going to cancel our meeting for the 30th also. So we're going to be back in business on the 6th, and I believe it's going to be a speechathon that day. So I hope we hear from a lot of you signing up for speeches, because we need you. And today, when Joni went to be putting together the agenda, a lot of things weren't filled. So it would be really helpful if you could get on there and sign up for things in advance. I usually sign up on the last day because I fill whatever voids are, but I sign up for every meeting, but I just don't know what I'm going to get at the end. So if you could do that, we would surely appreciate it. And if you have a role, please do your best to get here at least 15 minutes before meeting time, because in that time frame, we don't see you, so we don't know if you're coming, and we're refilling your role. And it's just a big waste of time when you sign on at the last minute. So it would be very helpful if you could sign on 15 minutes early. Just a little FYI. So I'm done for this evening, and I want to pass the virtual stage on to Karthika. She hasn't been with us a while, and I'm just thrilled to see her back. So please put your hands together for her.
Thank you, Marianne. Do you know the fastest thing in the universe that can travel through the space? Do you know what it is? It's none other than the light. Actually, the whole of electromagnetic spectrum. Light an eternal power, just takes 0.13 seconds to circulate the entire globe. It just takes or travels at the speed of 3,000 kilometers per second. It's considered as a wave, it's considered as a source of energy, and it is also considered as a stream of tiny little particle. More than all, its brilliance to showcase its power eradicates ignorance. So how can we ignore such an atomic power uncelebrated? Here I am, Kritika Devi Venkatram, welcoming you all to one more miraculous, fabulous session of online presenters today, introducing you to the theme of the meeting, the panoply of ceremonious story. Before we get to know more about the stories, let's first generate a spark in our today's Toastmasters meeting through an unparalleled, unique session. And that's the tip of the day. Here we have our DTM, our wonderful Andrew Byrne, to present today's tip of the day. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about something that everybody will benefit from if you present or if you use Zoom. For those that are not keeping up, Zoom is regularly updating its software, and their goal is to be a one-place shop for everything. In fact, in October, they announced that they had 2,700 integrations with their program. We're going to cover a few things today, and let's see, it should be showing up. Where is my thing? Yeah, we are. Okay, so we're going to talk about Zoom Docs. Let me see a show of hands of who knows about Zoom Docs. Does anybody? One person. Okay, you're going to be very excited because this will do a whole bunch of stuff, and we'll go through that right now. What is Zoom Docs? First off, when you open your Zoom, if you have the latest software, you'll look on the left-hand side, or my right-hand side, over here where my cursor is going up and down. And these are all the programs that are available now on Zoom. You have Mail, you have Calendar, Whiteboards, Docs, Clips, Apps, Events, and also Notes. And these are important because they hang out there and they don't disappear at the end of the meeting. So we're going to talk about Zoom Docs. I gave you at the very first slide a reference on YouTube to this guy, Scott Friesen, who does a program channel called Simplicity and talks about different things about your productivity. Zoom Docs is one of those things he talked about. If you look at my screen, you'll see that I'm over here, the picture of Scott's over there, and on the screen are his notes for the presentation that he's doing. Notice with Docs, you have the opportunity to either show the docs for yourself or share those docs with everybody in the room that's hooked up to that Zoom call. And that's pretty important because it means that they're not going to be looking at the docs in a small fashion. They're going to see the whole thing. And so if you see on the right-hand side here, it says, do you want to share the docs just with yourself, which means it puts it right on your screen, or do you want to share it with everybody? Oops. All right, so this is what it would look like. Here's Scott doing a presentation, and just like a few minutes ago, we were doing a board meeting. You could actually put in Docs your board meeting and the agenda And you can say, I'm going to just see it for myself, or you can share it with everybody that's on the board meeting. You can see how this will be very helpful. And you can change the size, make this narrower or larger, depending upon your eyesight and your desire. And you get to it by going to this first screen when you open up Zoom and look on the top or on the side, whichever you have set up for your Zoom, for where the doc is located, Zoom Docs. And you click on it. When you click on it, come on, click on it, you'll get a blank screen. Now, what I notice is that a lot of the stuff works very much like Notion, where you're using the screen and then you can fill out anything you want on that screen. And that's pretty important. So here's an example of a screen. You see it's untitled. You can fill in the title of what you want. You can put a header, pictures, and you see this over here? It says AI. You can pull in the AI from Zoom and it can generate all these different things. It can generate meeting minutes. It can generate reviews. It can generate speeches. It can generate all these different things through AI and right through Zoom. There's also an area known as templates. So you can look at this and say, hey, what kind of templates exist for me in Zoom, and find the template that you're working on, click on it, and it'll generate an entire template for you. That's pretty cool as well. So here's an example that Scott's doing of training. He's teaching about email training, and he has the entire course, small for himself, and a larger course that he has shared both with himself and with everybody in the group. And he doesn't have to worry that people can't see it because it's blown up for them to look at. And here he goes again. And here's an example of him doing an agendas program. All right. Using the slash function, the /, you can pull up all these different types of attributes and put it on your page. And that includes putting in YouTube videos. So you can use this in your documents and bring in YouTube videos that you think are important. I was looking at some of the things from another club that's talking about onboarding new people. You can do all the forms and put it into this kind of a document, as well as the videos that Toastmasters has about belonging to a club. And there's really a lot of templates that are out there. Again, just move this over here. So this goes back to his presentation on email training for other people. And you can see how this is visible for the actual member because he's sharing to everybody that's in the room. And he also can see the timing for himself. And then this is towards the end of his presentation where he lists all the things that people need to know and what he's talking about during the course of his presentation. So that's a little bit about Zoom Docs. I could go into in depth about the other programs because, as you saw from the very beginning slides, that you have a lot of new programs that are considered part of the Zoom family of products, like you see over here: the mail, the calendar, the whiteboards, docs, clips, apps, events, and notes. So you can keep track of everything that you want, and it's right there for you. Okay, I see the red light, and that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. I think the male feature seems to be like quite not into the Zoom marketplace, which is specific to Zoom talks. That's wonderful. Good to know a tool which is useful for meetings, virtual meetings, especially. Okay, let's get back to our theme. A celebratory light festival may be different across the world. They symbolize the power of knowledge, the power of destroying darkness, the power of bringing wealth and fortune. That too at the speed of the light that it travels. In India, we have 4 yugas: the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. All these 4 yugas are believed to celebrate light as a beacon of joy, hope, kindness, restoring peace, and enhancing spiritual growth. Let's speak more about it during our course of our meeting. Let's bring the joy of igniting today's session by introducing the role takers of today's meeting. First, let me introduce the grammarian of today, who will introduce the word of the day. The knowledge enlightenment obviously urges with the grammarian. And for that, I would like to call upon Yoni Leila to take up on the stage. Yoni, over to you.
Thank you, our Toastmaster of the day. The word of the day is coruscate, to reflect light in bright beams or flashes. Another definition that we might be coruscating our speech with today: to be brilliant or showy in technique or style. Used in a sentence, his writing coruscates with brilliant poetic flourishes. Lighting coruscates around them. And if you look in the chat, we have a good suggestion. During the table topic session, Jim's coruscating wit and eloquence captivates everyone, leaving the audience thoroughly impressed. I'll note the number of times the word of the day is utilized during our meeting. I'll also look for, if we speak well, our use of grammar, give a few suggestions, offer some times where you might have missed the opportunity to use the word of the day, and how we can go about improving our grammar. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
You're
You're
on mute.
muted. While the slide is coruscatingly beautiful, we weren't able to hear you.
Thank you. The bustling of tiny particles of light shed as the words we utter, which requires careful consideration. We need somebody who could monitor it. And for that, we have an R counter. And I would like to call upon Mahafazur Rahman to introduce his role. Over to you, Rahman.
Rahman, you
You're
are
muted.
muted.
I am so sorry, Madam Toastmaster of the day, and I was talking on mute. Greetings, Madam Toastmasters. Our guest, the purpose of our counter is to note the words, sounds that are used as a class or pause filler. These are including well, so, yeah, well, but, and I'll be also listening some repeating word. And this is a joyful event here. So I'm looking forward to get those. And I already started my job. I'm excited. And I'll have a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
The rays of light monitor us all over the place. Similarly, we have a watcher for today. And to perform the role, I call upon Sherry Blake. Sherry Blake, over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I am your watcher for this evening, and what I'm going to be doing is watching you all, making sure that you're paying attention. Also, to just check out your backgrounds, how you look on camera. Overall, I'll be watching and reporting back at the end of the meeting. Thank you so much. Back to you.
We have a chat monitor who will facilitate to update the communication which is happening within us. For that, I would like to call upon Marianne Grady. Our President, Marianne Grady, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I will be watching the chat, and at the end, I will highlight any interesting things that happen there and report them back to you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Yes. Now, it's time for us to know more about the Festival of Lights. In South India, Diwali marks the victory of Lord Krishna, who lived in the Dwapara Yuga. He was named as a person who killed the demon Narakasura. This is celebrated as the festival Diwali. Let's pay close attention to this picture where Krishna bows or he strikes arrow against Narakasura and his army. Mother Earth, Bhuma Devi's son, was Narakasura. He was a demon and he plunged all over the wealth with people as well as with devas. The devas, especially Lord Indra, seek the help of Lord Krishna, who was accompanied by his wife Satyabhama to kill Narakasura. And that's what is being celebrated all over India as Diwali. And we deem Diwali to be celebrated for different reasons. Okay, let's not speak about only the celebrations that is cultural specific. Let's speak more about other festivals of light as well. Before which, we will have to have the speakers on stage. We will have to give them the honor of presenting themselves to celebrate their own speech. For this, I would like to call upon our first speaker. Our first speaker is Azail. Azail, I'm absolutely not aware of your speech.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day, point of order. I'm the timer, and I would love to let everyone know about time.
Yes. So let me call upon our first speaker, Azail. I'm absolutely not aware of your speech. The stage is all yours now.
Dr. Sani, you wanted to talk about the timing, or can I continue with my speaking?
You may continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Aso. So okay. A fellow Toastmasters, please raise your hand if you have ever tried using AI tools for generating images. Andrew, Montezor, Allison. Okay, thank you so much. Recently, out of sheer curiosity, I subscribed to ChatGPT Plus for a month to explore its advanced features, and I discovered that this clever assistant can conjure images from mere descriptions. Today, I want to share my coruscating journey of asking it to create images. My nieces and nephews' birthdays are coming up in December. I decided not just to write original birthday wishes like, "Happy birthday, my lovely niece. May your day be filled with endless giggles, love, and lots of cake," but to craft them in a fairy tale style. I wondered if I could ask for images to complement my writings. For my niece's birthday, I requested a simple, enchanting scene. A cartoonish little girl, kneeling in the snow in front of a magical bloom of joy flowers. These colorful flowers would only appear on her birthdays, just for her to see. The picture melted my heart. It was so adorable. Not only was the scene masquerading, but ChatGPT also added thoughtful touches like incorporating Kazakh ornaments on her winter jacket. Encouraged, I began planning a playful adventure for my nephew. His birthday story featured a mission to find his cake with encounters along the way, a transformer and Batman. After an arm wrestling match with the transformer, Batman, true to character, would lean down and sternly ask, "Have you been behaving, young man?" With this vivid scenario in mind, I requested an image of a Kazakh boy with a cake bearing his name along with a transformer and Batman. But ChatGPT gently reminded me it couldn't use licensed characters. A little disappointed, I accepted the alternative suggestion. Would use Robot and Shadow Knight instead. The first image appeared with a cute, friendly-looking robot beside Shadow Knight. Far too sweet for the intense arm wrestling match, I'd imagined. I requested adjustments, a larger, scarier robot, and the Kazakh ornament on my nephew's shirt for a personal touch. The next attempt was closer. The robot appeared more imposing. Shadow Knight looked mysterious, and my nephew's name adorned his cake. But to my surprise, the word Kazakh was printed on the cake. Puzzled, I asked why Kazakh was there. Instead of saying, I got confused, ChatGPT cheekily replied, "Oops, the AI got a little confused." I prompted another attempt. This time, an unexpected guest, a large bearded man, appeared in the background, and Shadow Knight disappeared. I burst into laughter, wondering how the bearded man had found his way into the scene. One more attempt followed with everything almost perfect, except now Robert had a beard. The couch I was sitting on started shaking from the laughter I tried to suppress. My request to fix the robot's beard led to one more attempt, but this time, my nephew himself ended up with a beard. And as if that wasn't enough, ChatGPT seemed to go wild, adding completely unrequested bearded man into the scene. At this point, I had to close my laptop before I ended up with a beard myself. From this experience, I learned that ChatGPT Plus gives me different images. They have different appearance each time, even if the prompt is the same. But those bearded images and exchanges we had were more than just funny moments. They were reminders of the coruscating joy that creativity can bring. These clever assistants, we call them artificial intelligence, but for me, they don't seem artificial because of the coruscating conversations we have. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
It was wonderful and coruscating to know more about you and your friend artificial intelligence. Experiencing Light Festival is not confined to geographies actually. That's far apart, more than culture indeed. During the month of June and in May or June, Sydney, Australia hosts several spectacular events across the places. And do you know what do they do? It's called Vivid. A 22-day celebration exhibits a breathtaking, colorful butterfly wings across the Opera House. Let me not take much of the time, and I was running or rushing towards time, not valuating the importance of timer. I'm quite sorry, Sunny Fridge. Moving into the space measures how much time that I took as light. Me, traveling with light, forgot about your importance. Why don't you get to know more about your role and responsibilities, though we are halfway through? Over to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. My role as timer is to monitor the time during the prepared speeches, the table topics, and evaluators. For the prepared speeches, 5, 6, and 7 minutes was for the first speech. For our second speaker, Allison, at 10 minutes, I will show the green. At 13 minutes, I will show the yellow. And at 15 minutes, I will show the red. That is the timing signals that Allison wants. If you change your mind, Allison, just let me know if you break it up. And for table topics at 1 minute, I will show the green. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow. And at 2 minutes, I will show the red. At that time, you should wrap up. And for the speech evaluations, at 2 minutes, I will show the green. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow. And at 3 minutes, I will show the red. And at that time, you should wrap up your speech. Time is important. I may not be a chorus skater. Is that even a word? But I do like the screen. They may not be lights, but timing is important. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
How graceful. And in the remarkable festival celebrated in Mexico, it's called the Night of the Witches. In the town of Catemaco, a peculiar celebration where witches gather to cleanse the negative energies that ruin people's life, where they dress themselves in weird witch costumes and march in the streets of Catemaco. Okay, let's speak more about the festivals of light throughout our meeting. But before that, I would like to call upon our second speaker to present her prepared speech. Our second speaker is Alison Blakeman. Alison Blakeman, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes as an online presenter, we present without slides. So this evening, I will be giving a discussion with you, something that I feel is important to everyone. The topic of the discussion tonight is finding balance in the chaos. By a show of hands, how many people struggle with finding a work-life balance or activity-life balance? Anyone? Sonny, Andy, Jim? Awesome. For years, I struggled with a work-life balance. They say, and in research I found, that they say break your day into 3 time blocks: 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for your career, and 8 hours for hobbies and other interests, right? Well, it sounds easy, but it's not really easy. And oh, I wish it was really that simple. We all know life is more complicated than that. What about shopping? What about doctor's appointments, family emergencies? It's just not as easy. Things pop up, things arise. What about Toastmasters? The 3 blocks of 8 hours. For those who do not work remotely, what about people who have to commute? You have to get up, you have to take a shower, brush your teeth, fix your hair. For ladies, put your makeup on, commute to work. Where does that fit in? That can't take away from the 8 hours of work. It takes away from the other 16 hours. You're either going to have to give up your family and personal time or sleep to do those things. They didn't calculate that in, and I think that's a very unfair statement to say break it up. And
Joni, you asked me to interrupt Allison's presentation, but you didn't say exactly when I was supposed to do that. Is there a particular time?
I put it
Sonny,
in the
can you
chat
mute
for
Jim?
you. It's in the chat, so you have to actually check in the chat for that information.
Check.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And Jim,
okay.
if you could just chat to Joni, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. So other things that we have in life: cooking, Toastmasters. A lot of us, like myself, like to attend multiple meetings through the week. Well, everyone gets 24 hours each and every single day. There's not a single person on earth that gets more than 24 hours. It's all in how we work with it. And it matters what we put into those 24 hours that really matter in life. So a couple of years ago, when I was a single parent, I was also an engineer, a software engineer for my current company. I had 0 work-life balance. I would work 10 to 16-hour days. During a large implementation that took over a year, I was on call 24/7 while raising a small single-digit age child and getting her to school, waking her up in the morning, cooking her breakfast, making sure I got her to school on time because I drove her to school, then come back home, work, and then pick her up after school, come home, cook her dinner, help her with her homework, get her in bed, and then I still had work to do. A lot of times there would be overnight activities that I would have to do where I could not access the servers until 1 a.m. in the morning, and the work would take 5 hours. I would get done at 6 o'clock in the morning sometimes, have to get my daughter up at 7. I would grab 2 cell phones, set alarms. I would lay down on the couch, sleep for an hour, get her up, get her to school. By 8 o'clock, I'm back on my computer working, making sure the start of the day and everything was great. And she also, during that time, played baseball. So after dinner, we went to baseball practice and then traveled for games. And I have pictures. I did not do slides this evening, but I have pictures of a photo album of the various places that I have worked. I have pictures of sitting outside of her school, working on my laptop, sitting at the baseball field, while looking out onto the field, watching her play when they were at bat and she wasn't batting. I'm at my computer working away. When she's at bat, I'm watching her. And that's not a way to live. You would agree with me. That's no way to live a life, and that's no balance. I reached a breaking point in May.
And is it really that hard? I think, you're talking about what every parent in the world talks about.
Right.
So I don't know how your situation is different from that.
How is it different, Marianne? That's a good question. My situation was a little unique because I didn't work a typical standard job. I was on call as a software engineer. I was the only one at my company who had access to this bank's systems. So I was the point person and I was responsible for this large project. And in addition, I was a single parent raising my daughter, and my nearest relative was 200 miles away. So yes, a lot of parents do, but I do think people struggle with work-life balance, Marianne. Okay. And by May of 2019, living this life, I reached a breaking point. And I told my boss at the time, said, Alan, I need to take a vacation or I'm going to take a permanent vacation. And he asked me if I could give him another week to find someone to cover for me during that time because I took care of everything. He never had anybody backing me up, which really, really sucked. And I gave him another week, and then I took that week off. And one of the reasons I wanted to take that a week toward the end of the May off was it was my daughter's last year at elementary school, and it was the last time we would be able to ride bicycles to and from school. So I wanted to spend that time with her. While she was at school, I cleaned the house. I tried everything in me to relax. I tried to relax so hard. I tried to unwind. I listened to classical music. Everything I did, nothing worked. And I was like, okay, I had started also looking and applying to other jobs, and I had interviews and a couple job offers. But the thing was, being the single parent, I worked at home at at my company, and these other jobs required me to be in an office. Not having family within 200 miles created a problem. I'm going to have to find a babysitter, get her to school. I'm going to have to pay for it. What if she's sick? How's that going to work out? Well, by Friday, end of the week, I sat down and I watched a movie called Christopher Robin. And if you've never seen it, I highly recommend this movie. It's a movie about Winnie the Pooh from a different perspective. And I watched this, and during that movie, there were some profound quotes that coruscated right off the screen at me. They jumped at me, and they've stuck with me ever since. In the movie, Winnie the Pooh said, "Sometimes doing nothing leads to the very best of something." And that stuck to me. Then he also said, sometimes when he's looking for something, he just stops and lets that something find him. And
Don't say
ladies
what
and
the
gentlemen,
children's movie has to do with what you're
it's
talking about, though. What that doesn't really have anything to do with work-life balance, though.
I understand, Joni, but let me tie it together. I'm using that as an example for what it did for me. And Christopher Robin is more of an adult movie than it is a child's movie. And something that I personally love, Joni, is in movies, I find motivational quotes hidden like Easter eggs throughout movies. So I use that movie and that reference to emphasize the statement that sometimes when you're looking for something, if you just stop, that something sometimes finds you. And that's what it did for me, is it found me. By Monday, I was refreshed and renewed, and I found this breakthrough in my work-life balance. I come to realize and found some tricks that I want to share with you today that I think will be really, really helpful for you. So the first thing I found was that I needed to set boundaries because I was letting the client dictate when I would do work, and I had to take back control of my life. And I set the boundaries when I would work after hours. I would tell them, no, that's not urgent. I'm going to reschedule that. And till next week, I'm going to do 3 things overnight versus 3 nights doing 1 thing for a little bit and losing sleep. I learned to say no to people. I used to be a people pleaser. I like to say I'm kind of a recovering doormat, that I started saying no. And no is not a bad word. No goes right along with protecting and setting your boundaries. Don't let people take advantage of you. And one thing that I found is a normal shift is 8 hours. I was putting in no less than 12 to 16 hours every single day. Well, the money was great, but for my mental health and my physical health, it was killing me. And I noticed it was taking a toll on my daughter because she didn't quite understand why after dinner I would nap on the couch for 2 hours and then get up and work and such. So I had to start taking care of myself. What I found was that in an 8-hour day, you take away 2 15-minute breaks, that's 7.5 hours that like Dr. Andrew will work. So you look at it as like in a lab, a beaker or a measuring cup of 7.5 ounces. Anyone can pour in at your job into those 7.5 ounces. Once it fills up, that's it. That's where I set the boundary. I worked 7.5 hours, gave my 8-hour day, and then anything else I pushed off to the next day. When you take care of yourself, you're pouring into your own life, you're building your health. And the sad thing is that a lot of people, and I'm one of them, that I used to pour myself into my job thinking that my job and my career and the company cared. But sadly, if I passed away tomorrow, by the end of the week, they would have my job posted and looking for someone to replace me. But for my daughter and my family, I'm an important figure. So some of the other things that I found is that you need to eat healthy, stay hydrated, get plenty of sleep, depending on what that is for you. For me, plenty of sleep is about 6 hours a night. Focus on yourself and self-improvement and learning and growing, and find things that make you happy, like Toastmasters or gardening or celebrating holidays, cooking, making cookies. Find a system that works for you. And that's what I did. In my career, I found a system that worked for me. And I have a coworker right now that is really struggling as an account manager. She is really struggling, and she'll call me at 7 p.m. at night, and she's still at her desk, and she'll keep saying, Allie, I need to learn your systems. And I say, set up a time with me and I will help you. And work-life balance can be achieved. If you're struggling with it, I would open it up. We've got a few minutes left for any questions. Anyone? Any questions? Okay. Mazur?
I would
Oh.
like to say that you have brought up some great points about time management, and I liked your Winnie the Pooh, I believe it was, quote.
Yes. Yes,
You
ma'am.
can do nothing, but it can become
Yeah.
something.
Doing nothing can lead to the very best of something. And if he's looking for something, sometimes he just stops and that something finds him.
Awesome.
Okay. Anyone else?
Alison.
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Mazur.
Bringing different perspective of Winnie the Pooh, and I loved it. Christopher Robin, definitely, I recommend any of you that want to have the second perspective. Would you say, is it work-life balance, or is it managing the priority?
That is a great question, Monsieur. It is a little bit of both. Sometimes, and different people have different roles. And some people have a lot of pressure that they have to get tasks done that their bosses would want done, even if it takes longer. So it's a matter of work-life balance. That a lot of people come home, and there's a danger with working from home. And it's something that I had to put into place, because people that work from home are essentially always at work. There can be that temptation to go back to your computer at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night and check your email or finish up a project. Then the weekend comes and you could think, okay, I'm going to get a jump start on next week. Well, that's dangerous. I do not recommend it. So that is a great question, Monsieur. It's a little bit of both. Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. If nothing else, I appreciate your time today and letting me share with you some tips and tricks
I'm
on
seeing in the chat where Carrie said that she agreed with your tips, especially regarding self-enrichment.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, like, for a lot of us, especially when you work a lot and you take care of your daughter, and afterward you still have to read the books and everything. It's just a lot of stuff to do. To me, and I know you sleep a lot less than what I do. So for that, what advice do you give to people who doesn't strike a balance between self-enhancement, self-enrichment, but also getting enough rest? Because it's really hard to do that self-discipline, especially after work and taking care of your children.
Right. And that kind of ties in, excuse me, with what Menzur was talking about as priorities. Sometimes you have to break it out into block segments and schedule time. That's another little secret that I find to really help me to be successful is I schedule everything. I gave a speech before about email management. The twin sister to the email management is calendar management. I keep track of an Outlook calendar personally, and I also put my personal items on my work calendar, and I schedule time for everything. Not to a major extent, but I try to schedule time for that. I schedule time to write Toastmaster speeches, to finish up the evaluation. So that plays into it, Carrie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Oh, I'm not seeing Madam Toastmaster of the Day on currently. There was a
Oh no.
coruscative loss of electricity in her general direction. But there you go.
Gosh,
She's
I
back.
am lost.
Okay, so back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay. There is a festival which is celebrated in France and it's called Feta Luminaire. It's considered as one of the oldest light festivals in the world. The city celebrates its successful escape from the ravage of plague that was spread across Europe. To thank the Mother of God, this festival is celebrated by projecting lights, at least lighting up a candle outside of the window. Okay, let's also speak more about the festivals of light. But before which, we have one important section and an important person is waiting to present that. And that's Jim Barber. And he's going to be our topics master of the day. Over to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. And now it's time for Table Topics, our exercise in extemporaneous speaking. Before we begin, a brief reminder, our times are 1 to 2 minutes, as Sunny indicated earlier, and also the word of the day is coruscating, which will also be used quite a bit through Table Topics. For example, my first question is, and remember that coruscating means flashy or elaborate. So what is the most coruscating thing that you have ever personally done? And I've just got to find out what Sherry has to say about that.
Wow. I really appreciate the fact that you are curious to know what I would have to say about that. The most flashy thing I've ever done. Wow. The most flashy thing that I've ever done is, oh my gosh, Jim Barber. What could that be? Well, okay, so I typically don't participate in the ugly sweater occasion, right? So I would have to say the most flashy thing that I've done was I wore a flashy, ugly Christmas sweater to work. No one asked me to wear it, but I did decide to put this sweater on for the occasion. We were having a holiday grab bag at the office just with the finance team. And I decided, you know what? Finance people can sometimes be, I don't know, maybe we're just a little stiff and rigid. So I figured, let me just break it up and put on this flashy sweater that actually had some lights that were flashing and glowing on it. And I think everybody got a big kick out of it, and they actually liked it. So even though it was ugly, it actually made for great office talk. I guess that's the flashiest thing that I've ever done. That is the coruscating. Is that how you would pronounce it? But yes, that would have to be the thing for me. Back to you, Jim Barber.
That's a marvelous answer, Sherry Blake. I wish I could see that sweater sometime. Wow. Okay. Generally, we ask guests ahead of time if they want to participate, but Mafuzar, no, I'm just not even going to ask you. You're on the spot. So, Mafuzar, who is the most coruscating musician or performer that you have seen? You're muted.
I am double muted. I'm so sorry. I'm getting used to Zoom. So again, Mr. Topic Master, who is the musician or coruscating musician that I've come across? Look, I come from a tiny village in the border of Nepal. So for me, music is something looking at probably the Everest or the Himalayas. But growing up, watching A.R. Rahman is somebody that probably had grown through the ladder. This guy worked hard. So I'm going to share two reasons that why he matters for me. One, his personality. He's humble. You go talk to him. Even somebody singing his song, he will be recording it and he will be just participating as he's the watcher, even though it's his song. The second one is the innovation that he brought in. He changed the industry. And he changed the industry for generations to come. And these are the two that really that brought me is somebody that not only has cross-skated the industry, and that has brought the Indian culture to a different level. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, or Topic Master, sorry.
That's quite all right. Thank you, Mafuzar. Appreciate that. Madam Toastmaster, we are running close to the edge here. Do I have time for one more?
Definitely. Why not?
Okay. Well, I don't want us to run too late on the meeting, but I really want to get the next question is, what is the most coruscating movie that you have ever seen? And I just really want to ask this one of Carrie. Carrie Kong.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me well?
Yes, we do.
Nice to meet you, everyone. And it's now the Christmas season, but for the most coruscating movie I've ever watched, there is like a Chinese. Still, there are a lot of English movie that I can quote, but I would like to call a very special one. There's a Chinese movie which is called like Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger. So it's a very classic Chinese movie talking about like kung fu, which people are fighting in the scene. But the cross-skating part of it, it's not only about the kung fu scenes that you can see it, but it's also talking about when you are facing up the enemies, but at the same time, there are a lot of like people who are better than you hidden outside. That's why there are hidden dragon, crouching tigers, because often you think you face to the enemies and then you face to the world, you're the best. You can fight kung fu, you're the best kung fu master, but there's always people who are trained behind you who can do better than you. So for us, there are a lot of indications, such as like, you always think you are the best one. Now, in the Toastmaster, we all think we are the best speakers, but there are always people behind you who can maybe speak better than you in one aspect than the other. So you need to learn from those hidden dragon and those crouching tigers and wait for them to come out. And maybe one day they will suddenly come out and shine in their own way. So this is like some of the Chinese metaphors that I really like. So I would like to share with everyone to learn about Kung Fu, but also learn about these very interesting things behind. So back to you, Table Topic Masters.
Thank you, Carrie. That was a coruscating response. Appreciate that. And now I'd like to keep on going, but I don't want the meeting to run over time. So I'm going to ask Madam Timer, were all of our respondees in time? I'm getting a nod there. I take that to be.
Hi there. Yes. Flashes of brilliance coruscating along. Everyone was within time. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Sunny. Do we have a vote counter tonight? Then in that case, I hereby dub our 3 table. We do? Joni's nodding. Well, you're gonna, oh, you're the vote counter. Ah, okay. It's in the chat? Thank you. Would you please cast your votes for the best table topics response this evening? And without further ado, I happily return control to our Toastmaster of the day, Kirtika.
Thank you, Jim. So it's time for us to know more about who is the best speaker of the day. Before which we'll end up with one more festival. It's called the Pingli Latin Festival. It's celebrated to welcome the Chinese New Year. There are different sizes and shades of Latin which is being floated to feel the vibe of good fortune. Anyways, we are fortunate enough to celebrate different lights of festival all over the year, all over the world. And best of the year comes to an end with one more meeting that is going to happen next week, and that's going to be a workshop. Apart from that, we have time for us to know more about the winners of today. And before that, I would like to call upon the general evaluator who would take the proceedings from here. And it's going to be Kerry Kong. Kerry Kong, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kritka. This is my first time in this club doing general evaluator role, so hopefully everyone can give me more room, but also suggest me for room for improvements for this session. To introduce, for the benefit of the members and the guests, I am the general evaluator, and also I conduct this evaluation portion of the meeting. And I'll be calling on a team, wonderful team, coruscating team today to assist me with giving feedbacks to our speakers. And I'll also give like a very quick feedback about the entire meeting because we're running out of time at the end. So first of all, let me double check. Help me welcome Marianne to evaluate the speech of Essel.
Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm back. And good evening, Asil. Now, I had the pleasure of evaluating Asil's last speech, and I really noticed that she took a lot of the feedback that was given to her and employed it this time. So good on you. I really like to see those improvements. Your talk on AI was really well chosen and well selected. It's one of those things that everyone is interested in. No one quite understands it all the way, but you explained it in very helpful ways. And you had great pictures for your visuals. They were dovetailed perfectly with what you were saying. Your vocal variety, I have to say, you used it well throughout your speech. I was very impressed. You're no longer shy, Asil. You're coming out of your shell, and I love that. So good for you. And the vocal variety really helped you engage your audience more and made it a lot more fun. Physical body language was quite congruent with your talk. One funny thing you said was you're going to arm wrestle. And I was kind of like, Estelle would never arm wrestle anybody. But that was kind of cute and it really made me smile. Let's see. AI tools are used for many different reasons. And the way you describe the prompting, it's important that people understand that the more you work with it, the better off it understands your prompts. So I think that you gave some good advice about that. And let's see. Your stage presence is really about, it's coming about nicely. Since last week. So I was very happy to see that. Structurally, I would encourage you to work with the rule of 3, and that would be have an opening, 3 topics, and a closing. It keeps it a little more on track and easier to follow. Now, your coruscating presence continues to improve and entertain all of us. And I want to thank you for your speech this evening. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Marianne, for your insightful evaluation. I do think Essel do really well on her speech and also used a lot of like visuals and graphics, and it's like a whole story flow. But you gave a really insightful information on the room for improvement as well. So for next one, let's welcome, let me check here, Dr. Andrew Byrne to give the evaluation for our second speaker, Allison. Andrew,
You're on
Andy,
mute.
you're muted.
Sorry. That's what happens when you mute yourself to be comfortable for everybody. All right, so let me start at the beginning. Thank you very much for Allison delivering a wonderful speech. I want to have everybody think really carefully about the evaluation. Did you know that there were 9 different evaluation methods that are commonly used in Toastmasters? Do you all just use the sandwich method? Sandwich method, which is popularized throughout Toastmasters? That's only one of 9 methods. There's another method, and that's evaluating content, organization, and delivery. That's a COD method. There's a method called flow, which talks about your speech going and how it flows from one concept to another and how your conclusion went. But there are so many different types. And this speech allowed us to think deeply and to actively listen to everything that Allison was saying. She talked about what the real problem was. The problem was time and fitting everything in her busy schedule into the time that she had. Sort of like going to a buffet and you see everything that you like, and by the time you pile everything in, your plate's that filled, and there's no possible way you could eat all that stuff. But that's when comes time to shine, to corsicate, and say, how am I going to approach this problem? And she identifies that she would use some of the techniques that are available. One method is known as the 888, or dividing up the day into 3 components, and then using time blocking on your calendar. If it's on your calendar, you get to do it. If it's not on your calendar, you don't do it. That way, you have focus to your day. and that's important as well. Some people use what's known as the Pomodoro technique. Does everybody know what that is? Raise your hand. You've heard Pomodoro. Okay. This is a Pomodoro timer. I don't know if everyone can see this. And you can see as you look at it that it's got different times on the side and allows you to schedule 3, 5, 10, 15, 60, 45, 30, 20-minute time intervals. And what the concept is, this is by an Italian, and Pomodoro actually means rotten tomatoes. What the Pomodoro method is it says that you can't concentrate for a very long time before your mind goes to mush. And therefore, you should be planning no more than 20 to 25 minutes of focused hard work, and then 5 minutes of a break. When you do that 3 times, then you take a 20-minute break. And if you get into that habit, you might remember back to your school days. When you were in school, what happened? When you were in school, you had periods. So you had first period, second period. Each period was like 40 minutes because they recognized that out of that 40 minutes, maybe you can have 30 minutes that would be usable for focused attention. And the rest of it, ADD, you can't focus on anything. So the point is that we've known this stuff since we were little kids, that to have a schedule of time on, time off, and building allows you to get things accomplished. There are many things that you can think about. One concept that Allison didn't mention was GTD, or Getting Things Done, by David Allen. And that's another management guru. And that focuses on people that are overly busy, have too much on their plates, and how to organize your time so that everything gets done. All of us here suffer from what we call the helium arm. Someone asks for something and you raise your hand. Oh, I'll do that. And what you need to do is like what a deep sea diver does. Take the weights out and put it on your hands and put it on your feet and put it on your... Don't respond to everything. You have to look what your schedule is. And if your schedule is overbooked and have no time to do anything, when they say, and who could do this? Don't raise your hand, because you're going to disappoint yourself and you disappoint everybody else. That doesn't mean you don't do anything anymore. It means you organize, as Allison had said. She gave several good examples and stories and took us through the problem, her solutions, and how she overcame everything to a successful conclusion, to the point where other people are coming to her to say, and how did you manage that? So I think that this is a story that's useful and relevant to each of us, because it teaches us the importance of a work-life balance and the importance of how you utilize your day. That you have to have fun, you have to learn, you have to grow, but you have to be cognizant of your time. Like that very famous song in Rent goes, that tells about all the minutes that there are in a day. I don't see the timer. Is there a timer over there, Sonny? I don't see any timing lights. There it is, red. Okay. Evaluation's over.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much for your very insightful and like a lot of methodology, but I do think Allison did a really good job. She said that we're not very tough on her, and then we'll be much tougher next time for sure, because it's now the Christmas season, so maybe people are becoming nicer right now. So because of the time, I would like to ask everyone, the evaluator, to become short on a speech. Maybe now, can I ask Timer to give your very concrete and short, concise timer report for today? Dr. Sunny?
Yes, Madam GE, since I did do the other times for this, the speech evaluators, Mary Ann Grady, 323, and Dr. Andrew Byrne, talking about time, went overtime, 5:56. Back to you.
Thank you so much.
But he had a good time.
that's a good time and also good, but maybe disqualified for the speech competition. So just to be aware. So next one, we'll welcome Grammarian Joni to give your evaluation.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. The word of the day was used. Let me just start by we spoke really well. 13 times we used the word of the day, but I counted 15. Why? Sunny got 2 points for coruscator. It's actually a wasp, but we promote the evolution of language here at Online Presenters. So 15 times the word of the day or a conjugation was used. Overall, we spoke really well today. Back to your general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Next one, let's welcome our accounter, Malthusser, to give your like a quick evaluation.
Madam G, I'll be 30 seconds. The most repeated word was the word of the day. Other than that, I heard one, which is gonna be, there were few as, by far, so was the most repeated word. And there were a few other filler one, only, with, and I will have a detailed report back to you. And this is what my evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's welcome next one, Chetty Marion. Can you give your quick evaluation? Marion, you're unmuted.
There was a few things mentioned about dragon boat racing in the beginning. Some kudos to the people who were giving their speeches. And as always, Dr. Andy shared some helpful things about evaluation. So that's all I have for today, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Chetty, Marianne. And last one, we have our watcher, Sherry. Can you please share your observation?
Well, I'll be real quick. We had a variety of backgrounds. They all weren't just the online presenter backgrounds. So I felt that they were great variety. We had great engagement. I love the facial expressions from the hecklers when they were heckling. Oh, who was it? Who were they heckling? When they were heckling Allison, I love the expressions. And for the Toastmaster of the day, I watched her disappear and then reappear. Back to you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for evaluation. Really quick evaluation from my side. I think everyone is so coruscating, give coruscating speeches. I must use more of this word, sorry. But I think it's good. And then I really like that Chetty opened the speeches by asking some questions. And also Krika did a fantastic job of today. Just congratulates to her. There's one moment she missed, which is the timer. But she did like include the timer in the after the next speech, the second speech. She did introduce back Dr. Sunny, so she would not be ignored during the first introduction. But rest of all, it's a really nice meeting. So back to you, Krika, for your Toastmaster of the day.
Wonderful, wonderful, Kerry. Light is a self-propagating electromagnetic wave. We just have to be like that. We just have to self-propagate as a source of light, that neither an external source should illuminate or diminish you, but you should burst and glow as a potential, powerful quantum particle. Let's not only celebrate light, but create history with its enchanting powers, bringing truth, prosperity, innovation, revolutionizing the world, traveling along with the light. This gets us to the end of this meeting. And for that, I would like to hand over the meeting to our president, President Marianne. Over to you.
Well, what a great meeting. Thanks for coming, everybody. Just a reminder that we're canceling on December 23rd and December 30th. But remember, there's a speechathon on January 6th, so I hope you'll sign up to give a speech. because you're gonna have a couple weeks off. You're gonna get rusty. You gotta sign up. So please do that. Please remember to arrive 15 minutes early if you have a role so that we don't waste any time. And Joni, did you have anything else to add?
I do, as vote counter today, our best evaluator. I don't think anybody who would guess who that was. Marianne Grady. When you're competing against time, sometimes you win by default. For our best speaker, drum roll please. And this is sometimes why you need to vote for yourself, because it was Asil's vote that pushed her over the edge. Congratulations, Allison. And for our best table topic speaker today, drum roll please. RGE, who did an excellent job, Carrie Kong. So good job, everyone. Looking forward to everyone coming out January 6th. New year, new path. And I'm hoping all of us, we have a huge speech-a-thon. We'll get some time to get a break, get ready, and be able to start the new year on a new path so we can all do level 1s and level 2s before June. Back to you, Madam President.
All right, well, thank you all for coming, and I don't believe we have any guests left. We had one earlier. So I think we're gonna close the meeting. But it was
I think Muffazur is still a guest. We're going to try to change that, but
oh, okay.
Am I a guest? I don't know.
Please.
Returning